Hi there, Plant Girl here. Well, it's that time of year for planting garlic, and I've got my seed garlic that I saved when I harvested garlic about a month ago. And I have this bed figured out as the space I want to grow it in, but it really isn't ready for planting. So my goal today is to clear out this kind of half to third of this bed that I had my brassicas in this year, and get it all cleaned out, amend it with some bone meal, and kind of even it out a little bit and get it ready for planting so that I can get this garlic in the ground. Hopefully I'll get the garlic planted before I run out of time, but that's my goal for this afternoon, is to get this done. I have about an hour or so of time, so I'm hoping I can get that done. So I thought I'd bring you along with me, and we'll try and get this bed ready and get some garlic planted this afternoon. I have a big bag full of garlic. It's multiple varieties of garlic that I grew this year. There's some purple stripe, there's some, I believe, some rocambole, some music porcelain garlic. It's all hardneck garlic, so it has this hard stem on it, and that's the best kind of garlic for growing in cold climate like mine. If you're new to my channel, I'm in Saskatchewan, Canada, zone 3. So that means that we get down in the winter to minus 35 Celsius or colder. So I need plants that I can overwinter that are going to be able to handle that. So let's get started, and hopefully we can get this all wrapped up today. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is, I think I'm going to take these hoops out of the way for right now. I have a frame on this bed so I can cover it up if I need to protect the brassicas from pests, or if I want to just, protect them from cold or whatever. And I do have a few cabbage and Brussels sprouts. Probably not going to get anything out of them, but, well, the cabbage I will. They're heading up nicely. But so I think I'll just leave the hoops down at that end so that I can throw a fleece over if I need to. We were forecast from 1 degree Celsius last night, but it only got to 5, I think, and then it started to warm back up again. Really odd. But anyways, so I think what I'm going to do is just kind of aim for kind of from here forward, getting cleaned up. And I have this looks like it was a graffiti cauliflower that maybe just never quite came to fruition, so we'll just pull that out. As you can see, I've been harvesting out of this bed. I've actually pulled a few cabbage and cauliflower and lots of broccoli out of this bed in the last month. I'd say it really has turned around, and I've been able to harvest quite a bit. Not spectacular heads of things, but good enough for our needs. So got a little cauliflower there, trying to finish up there. And now I noticed the other day when I was in here that this drip line has come detached from its water source, so that's not good. And I want to replace this drip line anyways. This is like a soaker hole or weeping hose, and I want to put an actual drip, 1/4 inch drip in here. So I'm gonna hopefully get to that today too, but I'm not sure how well it's gonna work around this stuff, but it needs to be done. So that'll be on my list as well. But let's get these leaves and things out of here that I've just been throwing on the bed while I come and grab things quick. I planted some onion starts in here at some point this summer with the brassicas, so I have a few little tiny onions that came through here, so we'll put those to the side. Pull out my stakes. That one felt like I knocked a slug off of there. Oh, it's slimy. And because I want to replace this line, I think I'm just gonna pull it up, get it out of my way. Another onion here. That's not worth saving. I was wondering if I was going to need to top this bed up a bit, but it looks like it'll be okay. I'll just add some nutrients back in. These are raised beds. They're 4 feet wide by 8 feet long, and they're about a foot deep. And when I originally filled them, it was with mostly peat moss. I'd say about 50% or 60% of peat moss, and then a mixture of compost and composted cow manure and just a little bit of vermiculite. And then I've topped them up over the years with leaves, grass clippings, my own compost, and composted like steer manure as it was available to me. So it's nice. They're good, rich soil with lots of good nutrients in them, and they're pretty lofty. So I think this side is pretty much done. I'm just going to do a little quick go through on the other side, and then we're ready to add some nutrients and even get planting. A little tiny bit of broccoli, we can add that to our supper tonight. I'm just going to add some bone meal in, top up the soil with it. Bone meal is high in phosphorus, which is really good for root development. And since that's mostly what we're looking for with the garlic right now, that's the only amendment I'll add in right now. Garlic does like a good feeding, and the cauliflower and broccoli, like all those brassicas, are really heavy feeders, so they will have depleted this bed pretty well over this summer. So this coming like next spring, when the garlic starts to come up and show signs of growth, then I will come in with a complete all-purpose fertilizer that I like to use, just a pelleted slow release fertilizer that I'll just come around and top dress around the plants and just work it in a little bit into that top layer of soil. And that will be what the garlic needs. I may, if I remember, come in again later, like in another month after that, and do it again. But lots of times I don't remember or don't get around to doing that, and the garlic still grows well. So I'm just going to work this in. And I'll worry about the other side after. I'm going to mark off where I put the garlic to in this bed. So I'm just going to put these stakes one on either side, so that when I come back in the spring, if the garlic hasn't quite all come up yet and I'm ready to plant, then I'll know that this area here is where I have my garlic. So now all I need to do is get my garlic cloves separated, and that's a fairly easy process to do. You just need to kind of, I find if you kind of pull on that hard neck, you just kind of wiggle it around, see if you can get your fingers in there between the cloves and pull them apart. So there, I just broke some off, so you can see how the neck is coming up from that basal root area all the way up. That's just the main stem that's dried off and hardened. And then here's two cloves here, so then I just separate them. Now I saved my largest heads of garlic with the largest cloves that I grew last year, or this year I guess, to replant for next year's crop. So I'm just going to go around the heads of garlic that I have and separate them into large cloves. I don't want to remove the outer wrapper that's on them. That'll help to protect them. But I just want to break them into individual cloves because that's how we'll plant them. I won't probably need everything that's in this bag. I just saved back lots while I decided on my plan for next year's garden. But I've come to realize that this is going to probably be my last year with one of my kids at home. Our son moved out already this fall. So next year I won't need quite as much food put away for us to eat over the year. So I probably won't grow quite as much of anything in that garden next year. It'll still be a big garden because I just am a gardener at heart, but maybe I'll be able to play with more things and have more room for that and less room for the main crops. That's a big clove. That head only had 3 cloves on it. So each individual clove of garlic that you plant will grow to form a full head of garlic for next year. And the hardneck garlic needs this cold winter weather. It needs the cold weather to split and form the individual cloves. So I'm not sure how far into the warm winters you can get before you need to do some cold stratification with your garlic. So I believe it's probably about zone 8 or so, but maybe just double check if you're in a warmer climate about planting hardneck garlic, because you might need to be planting soft neck or else cold treating your garlic or purchasing cold treated garlic before you plant it. But here in zone 3, and I believe at least up to zone 6, hardneck garlic gets planted in the fall and goes through that cold period of winter in order to grow and split and form these nice heads of garlic for harvest the next year. Okay, I'm sure I'll need more than that, but this is where I'm going to start with for now. Like I said, I'm trying to plant a little bit less than in other years, so I don't want to break it all up and then find out I don't need it all. So we'll get started with this, and I'll just show you the basics, and then I'm just going to get to it. So when you're planting garlic, especially in a cold climate like mine, you're going to want to plant it down fairly deep, but not too deep. So what I like to do for spacing is just kind of do this. So I'd plant one here and one here. That's my spacing. I think that's probably around 6 inches, 10 centimeters, something like that. So that's my spacing. And then for depth, I just try and go down kind of finger depth. So again, I grab this. I'm going to see if I can just kind of poke a hole with it and just try and get some holes going this way and see how that works this year for me. I don't know if the cloves will go down there that easily or not, but then I can just kind of come along and push them down and with my finger into the hole. So hopefully you can see that. I'm just setting it on the hole that I made and just pushing it down. Of course, that hole wasn't very good. Pushing it down to about my knuckle there. So when you're planting it, it's just like any other bulb that you would plant. If you're familiar with planting tulips or daffodils or anything like that, you have that basal end where the roots came out. That's what's going to go down into the soil first, and then you have the pointy end, and that's what's going to poke up. Now really, it's not going to really matter in the end which way you plant it. Even if you plant it right upside down, the garlic is going to know, and the scape or the shoot is going to find its way up out of the ground and still give you garlic. The only thing is it might take a little bit longer for it to, for the sprouts to come up, and it might take just a little bit more energy from the bulb coming up out of the soil. But really, in the end, in the big picture, it's not going to matter. So, you know what? If you have little kids and you want to get them busy and helping in the garden, poke some holes so you get your spacing, and then let them toss those garlic cloves in those holes, and I'm sure it'll turn out just fine for you in the end. You know, if you accidentally get one upside down, I wouldn't go back digging it out and replanting it. So I'm going to just scooch the soil over those, just cover them up, and then I'm just going to do that same spacing with my finger from that hole from that first hole over, I poked a hole, and then I'm just going to keep going across, poking those holes. And that's all I'm going to do to get this garlic planted in the ground. So I'm going to get that done and then I'll bring you back. Okay, so I got them all on the ground. You may notice when you're going through and separating your bulbs that you're separating your cloves, you will wind up with different sizes. And so I had a few that were really quite small. And this one could have been planted, it was just extra. But there's definitely some that were smaller. And those ones I left out, and I'll save those to use in my cooking. This one could have been planted too. I probably just missed it in the mess in here. But so I had a couple of larger size there. But you can see, hopefully you can see the difference there between some of these others and the size that they were. So, you know, I always think the bigger, the healthier clove that you plant, the better plant you're going to get out of it. This is what's holding all the nutrients and food for this next year's crop here. So this is what's going to really give them the nutrients to get started, get rooted down. The bone meal is just a little extra just in case, but really they should have what they need in this bulb. So you want to give them the best chance you can by planting the best bulbs you can. So I've got these all planted in here. I'm going to water them in really well, fix this watering system, and then I'm just going to leave them like this for now, and probably about the end of October is when we'll likely be getting our first snows that kind of stay on the ground. End of October to the middle of November. Anytime in there is when we'll start to get snow that's going to stay on the ground. The ground is cold then and frozen. And so right around that end of October point is when I'm going to come through and I will just put a layer of leaves on top of here. Again, I don't know if it's something that's actually truly necessary, but I like to put them on just to give it that little bit extra, because these are raised beds. I just think it doesn't hurt to give them just that little bit of extra protection in our cold winters. Like I said, minus 35 is a common occurrence here in my area. So I'm going to get them covered up like that, and then in the spring I do like to come through sometimes if the leaves have gotten a little bit thick, especially if they've blown around. Some areas might be thicker than others and they can get matted up, and that will make it hard for the garlic to come through. So in the spring, lots of years I'll come through and just once we're past, you know, the worst of our winter, I'll come through and just move some of those leaves to the side just to give a chance for the soil to warm up and let the garlic start to grow. Don't be scared if your garlic starts to sprout up in the fall. That can happen. It doesn't often happen for me, but sometimes we'll have a little bit of an extended fall and the garlic will sprout. That's fine. Just leave it alone. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine and it'll still come up for you in the spring. So hopefully you found this interesting and helpful. And let me know in the comments down below if you have anything to say about this. You know, do you grow garlic? What kinds do you grow? When do you put your garlic in? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.